Harper Audio presents Dad, You Suck by Tim Dowling. Read by Tim Dowling. Introduction. I am sitting at a boardroom table in the offices of a PR company interviewing an ex-apprentice contestant called Rafe. Though he was booted off the show in week 9 after Alan Sugar dismissed him as a lot of hot air, Rafe remains possessed of an unshakable self-belief. I find this irritating, and I have to keep reminding myself that it's not Rafe's fault he believes in himself. It's probably something to do with the way he was raised. Rafe is in the middle of a digressive burst of false modesty, which, I think to myself, is probably the only kind of modesty he has ever known. As he speaks, I flip through my reporter's notepad, looking for a question I may have scribbled down earlier and forgotten about. A question searching and incisive enough to pierce Rafe's shiny carapace of confidence. Instead, I find a page on which one of my children has written, "Dad, you suck," in large block capitals using a marker pen. When I get home an hour later, there is a new personal power newsletter in my email inbox. I've been receiving these regular motivational updates from an internet life coach ever since I signed up for an online course while writing a newspaper feature about life coaching. This was months ago, but I don't know how to make the emails stop. These days I rarely read beyond the subject line, which usually says something like, "Hi Tim, self-confidence is a magic key," or "Hi Tim, happiness is all around you if you look." This latest newsletter is headed, "Hi Tim, how would it feel if you knew why you were here?" and goes on to detail a prolonged exercise in soul-searching that is supposed to end with you receiving a short, secret phrase that sums up your reason for being on Earth. I think about my life's true purpose for a bit, but I can't come up with a secret phrase better than, "Dad, you suck." That evening my wife comes home from her bookshop and immediately launches into a tireless inventory of my failings. This has become a weekly event which coincides with the shop's late opening. My wife has spent many hours being polite to people, and she has already said all the nice things she was going to say today. I get whatever's left. My oldest son knows it's Thursday again, and he's come down to watch. "You didn't slice the bread," she says, peering into the bread bin. "The slicing machine was broken," I lie. I have developed a dread of the bread slicer at the supermarket, the repeated operation of which only serves to underscore the grinding futility of existence. Also, it strikes me as vaguely unhygienic. "No, it wasn't," my wife says, turning to the child. "Your father is hopeless." At this point, it dawns on me that it is my wife's life purpose to drain my self-esteem at every opportunity. Instantly, I feel lighter. My shoulders drop back, as if I were spreading invisible wings. My wife seems to notice the change. She is staring at me intently. "Your hair's looking a bit thin at the front," she says. She turns to the boy. "Your father is losing his hair, I'm afraid." "I'm married," I say. "I no longer need hair." He has to say that because he's going bald. "She's just trying to flatten my self-esteem," I tell the boy. "She can't help it. It's her life's purpose." "She's like a self-esteem roller," he says. "That's very good," I say. "I can use that." My wife glares at both of us. "No, you cannot use it," she says. "I'm not allowing it. You cannot write that I'm like a self-esteem roller." "Yes, I can," I say. "I can use it if I want." I look at the boy. "Can't I?" He thinks for a minute. £5, he says finally. "Done," I say. People occasionally ask me if I find writing about my children in a weekly newspaper column ethically challenging. The truth is, I never really thought about it until people started asking, and by then it was too late to stop. I had never intended to write about my children. The column was always meant to be about me. But I soon found that it was almost impossible to keep them out of the narrative because they talk all the time. They interject, they interrupt, they ask impertinent and largely irrelevant questions, and they repeat stupid things I've said in what they think is an amusing approximation of my voice. A domestic scene from which all childish input has been artificially excised for reasons of privacy or ethics or being a good father or whatever, immediately loses its claim to veracity. Consider this brief dialogue between a husband and wife. Wife: "You're having supper with your family. Are you ever going to say anything?" Husband: "No. Can someone pass the salad?" Wife: "Oh my God, I can't live like this." All very kitchen sink, but I think you'll agree that something is missing. Now read it again.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?